Here in this Fort Pierce neighborhood where Omar Mateen lived. Here's the situation as it stands now. For what is now about 8 to 9 hours, law enforcement has been here. They're waiting for a search warrant to go ahead and check his home, his condo here at the Woodland Condominiums. Our Jimmy Johnson was here earlier, along with our photographer Greg Duncan, give you an idea of what's happening. Everybody here is gathered around. A lot of the neighbors here in this neighborhood still are not sure why everyone is here. They were unclear. In fact, I had two different people stop me and ask what's going on. But the fact of the matter is that these condos are where Omar Mateen, the 29-year-old, lived. The building, the condo building in which he lived, has been evacuated. We understand that almost 24 people were evacuated. They have not been allowed back in their homes right now, and we're still waiting on that search warrant. Here is the obvious situation here. Because Omar Mateen obviously planned this out in buying two guns very recently, it's unknown what might be in his condo. Since this was planned, it's very possible, if not probable, he could have either weaponry, other evidence, or have booby-trapped that residence. And that's why there's such an abundance of caution here right now among law enforcement. They'll wait and they'll be very careful going in, and did clear the building to make sure that no one who lives in that same structure is in any danger, but we're still waiting on that search warrant as we speak. And as I started to say, I know that we didn't have proper audio. Can you imagine the feeling of the neighbors here to find out that a man with such hate in his heart lived right here? Omar Mateen, here's what we know about him. I know that you've been talking about it on the air. 29 years old, born in New York City. He's of Afghani descent. His father runs a nonprofit, Mir Sadiq, a nonprofit called Provisional Government of Afghanistan. He claims there's no religious connection. We've heard that there was a 911 call in which Omar Mateen pledged his allegiance. He was a security guard in Jupiter for a G4S and had been for many years. We also know this man was on the FBI radar and dropped off while he was living in this very condominium. The fact that in 2013, something he said triggered an FBI probe. Apparently, there were talks about radical jihad or perhaps making an attack. He was reported, there was an interview, but he was slick enough, he was smart enough to slip through the FBI's fingers. They felt there was no credibility to the story. There was a second incident in 2013, which he also managed to slip away from them by convincing them there was no credible threat. And in 2014, we are told that he had some kind of contact with a would-be suicide bomber. Again, the FBI interviewed this man. Again, no probable cause to go further with the investigation, no further probe. So to sum that up, his record was clean when he walked into a gun shop and purchased what we believe was an AR-15. That is the civilian version of the M16 assault rifle used by the military, as well as a handgun. He went in, purchased those weapons, and managed to carry out this attack after driving almost 2 hours to Orlando to carry it out. Again, we're waiting here for more to take place. Law enforcement does have the area cordoned off. As you can see, and Greg was showing you, you see mobile vehicles from law enforcement, you see guards there, you see police tape here as we wait for them to go inside and find out what's inside that condo. But as in prior circumstances, it is a very dangerous operation for them, knowing that a killer, a man we know, killed at least 49 people in that nightclub, Pulse, in Orlando, was living here. Who knows what he may have in there? We also know that he was married and divorced and has a 3-year-old child. Do not believe that there were any relatives living with him. His father has claimed again this was not a religious attack of any kind. Since that time, we have heard there are 911 calls that he made to ISIS, that Mateen made to ISIS, pledging his allegiance to ISIS. That would seem to believe that there was no affiliation with ISIS that led to this attack. There was certainly an inspiration. And if you'd like to see a parallel, if you want to draw a parallel here, it's not necessarily the Paris attacks that took place last year, either Charlie Hebdo at the beginning of the year or later on, those coordinated attacks in Paris. It's more the San Bernardino attack. You'll remember that Sayed Farouk and his wife were not necessarily connected with ISIS, but were inspired by ISIS and ISIS propaganda. Also important to remember, this is the holy month of Ramadan, a holy month for practicing Muslims, but a month that ISIS has said is a month to create terror among its followers, and perhaps he was inspired by that. But for now, we wait. We wait along with law enforcement. We wait with all the neighbors who are not allowed back in their homes to find out what may be inside Omar Mateen's home right now. And here it is, almost 4:30. They've known about this place for more than 8 hours, and still we wait to get inside and hopefully safely extract whatever evidence they can from his home. Felicia?
Yeah, Todd, you know, right now you were saying because they are sitting there waiting, I mean, that scene, when they do get that search warrant, when they are able to approach this condo, that scene is going to ramp up, no questions asked.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually the way, and usually this would be done with some kind of robotic equipment. That may be why we're waiting so long. And I don't have a verification of that right now, but that may be why they're waiting so long for a search warrant in this case. We know that 50 are dead, and I said 49 before because it's unclear whether that 50th victim is the killer, Omar Mateen himself, as it's 50. But we have no illusions. With all the people who are in critical condition in Orlando, that death toll is surely expected to rise, already the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history. But we would believe that if there's more equipment brought in, this scene will change somewhat. But again, neighbors are being held back. There is crime scene tape that only covers about a less than 50-yard stretch of here on South 17th in Fort Pierce. But we will see activity at the time they go in, but they would go in very cautiously, not knowing if even the door itself might be booby-trapped. At the same time, there also might be some kind of explosive or ammunition or something that could be triggered upon entry. It's possible they might use some kind of video equipment to look into the home first. They may have already done that, but as far as a full-fledged search warrant to go in, we know that that takes some time and some proper equipment, and as I used earlier, a true abundance of caution to make sure that there is no other loss of life, no other injuries connected with this man who, as the president called him, a man whose heart obviously was full of hate. There are reporters here. A lot of the media, of course, is in Orlando outside the Pulse nightclub, but it'll be very interesting to see what they find inside this condominium at the Woodland Condominiums when they get inside Omar Mateen's home.
Todd, you brought up an interesting point about